News coming in now. This, according to a tweet put out by the Union Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Pralhad Joshi. He said that a special session of Parliament, this is going to be the 13th session of the 17th Lok Sabha. It will be the 261st session of the Rajya Sabha. It's going to be called from the 18th to the 22nd of September. So just 18 days from now. Joshi has also said it's going to have 5 different sittings. Now, I'm going to tell you what he's also said. This is in his tweet. He's also said that you can actually see it on your screens. He said, amid Amrit Kaal, I'm looking forward to fruitful discussions and debate in the Parliament. He's also put a photo underneath. Commenters asking whether this will be in the new Parliament, whether the first bill will be passed in the new Parliament. That's just some of the comments that have come in already to this post. This is Union Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Pralhad Joshi, who's made this announcement just a few seconds ago, actually, on Twitter. Now, my colleague Payal with us to bring us more context. Payal, over to you.
Well, of course, this tweet has come in from the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Pralhad Joshi himself. We've been trying to ring the phone lines to find out what exactly is the need and why is this being brought in. But as of now, we do not get any clarity. But I'm sure there must have been something special, because this is one of these rarest of rare occasions when the government calls in for a special session. There is, of course, a lot of speculation amongst various political camps thinking that probably the government is bringing in a crucial feature, something like a UCC, but that looks pretty unlikely. It will be important to see what the government really has in mind, but the fact is that he has linked Amrit Kaal. This comes in at a time when India has will just be finishing the G20 presidency, the main event as well. Obviously, the fact the Prime Minister has often spoken about the vision for India, the new India for 2047. A lot of speculation going around, but we'll have to just still wait for the government sources to confirm to us what exactly this session is about. But the fact of the matter is that yes, there is a special session which is being called in from 18 to 22nd September.
Payal, you started your answer by telling us that this really is the rarest of rare. If you could tell our audiences other such instances where it's happened, particularly months before an election.
Well, it doesn't have much to do about elections essentially, because even when the parliament sessions have been called closer to the election, it is generally given that several members will be present, several members will not be present as well. This government is often called in a special day or something. I remember to pass the GST, they had called in for a session. Other than that, this government in the last 10 years has not called for a special session like this. Interesting to see what is the reason behind this. We are trying to work the phone line for now, because right now everybody's speculating. But you've got a bill like UCC that looks pretty unlikely at this point in time.
Okay, Payal, thank you for clarifying that for us. Let's go to my colleague Pallavi, who also covers the Parliament, for more context here. Pallavi, our colleague Payal was just establishing just how rare it is for the government to make this kind of announcement. Can you give us more context?
Well, normally special sessions are called for special occasions, and they have been called in the past as well. But as Payal was pointing out, no clarity, no clue has been given. But I think the key words which have been revealed by the Parliamentary Affairs Minister in his tweet, he talks about Amrit Kaal. Also, remember the last session was done in the old Parliament building. We are looking at the new Parliament building. Is that going to be a possibility that a new Parliament, this special session is going to be called there? We've also been told that the legislative offices have been put on alert, which means that there is a possibility of some important bill to come up in this particular session of Parliament. No clue yet on what that bill could be, but the timing becomes now calling for a special session. So in those 5 days, which is in all likelihood a sufficient time for both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha to debate and discuss an important bill, is that what is the government has its planned? I guess we'll have to wait for some more revelations to come in, or a hint coming in from the government.
We're actually, Pallavi, getting audience reactions and engagement on this too. The users asking, audience members asking if this is perhaps going to be, as you hinted, a first bill in the new Parliament. Now, my colleague Aisha is joining us from the newsroom. Pallavi, just stay with us. We'll come back to you. First, let's go to Aisha, who I think has that tweet open. Aisha, over to you.
As the exact wording in the tweet, this is about a special session of the Parliament. It's going to be the 13th session of the 17th Lok Sabha and the 261st session of the Rajya Sabha. It's being called from the 18th to the 22nd of September, and it's going to have 5 sittings. Now, amid Amrit Kaal, looking forward to having fruitful discussions and a debate in Parliament. Again, remember, the agenda of the session is not known as yet. Earlier this year, the budget session took place, the monsoon session took place. Beyond this, the winter session of Parliament was slated to take place. But right now, before the winter session of Parliament, we're going to be seeing this very special session of Parliament take place as well. And remember, in terms of timing, it's going to be from the 18th to the 22nd. You're going to have 5 sittings. This is also going to take place post the G20 summit, for which India has the presidency. Back to you, Toya.
Okay, Aisha, thank you for bringing us that tweet from the Union Minister of Parliamentary Affairs. Let's go back to my colleague Pallavi. Pallavi, do you remain with us? Pallavi, All right, we've lost our connection with Pallavi. Let's go back to my colleague Payal. Payal, one of the things you said was that a UCC bill was highly unlikely. Now, the fact that we know that a parliament session has now been announced, we have about 18 days for the session to start. Can you tell our audiences what the mood is possibly in the opposition camp right now?
Well, the opposition camp certainly will be a little surprised because I've also been getting a few calls from the opposition leaders saying as to why this has happened. Now, if you remember, when the parliament session has to be called, there has to be at least a 14-day notice period which has to be given to the opposition parties, and obviously that's well in store over here as well. Given the fact that today is the 31st of August and on the 18th is when the session has really been called. But what is the grave urgency? Is the government trying to prepone the winter session in the wake of the elections? Have they spoken to the opposition parties? That remains to be the big focus, given the fact that Parliament is not the property of a political party or of a government. It's essentially it works on the consensus of all as well. So that's something which is very important. But this sudden announcement of this Parliament date, even though there were murmurs in the political circle, is extremely surprising for everybody, including the media, because we didn't expect this to really come through as well. And it's just a 5-day session. So what is this 5-day session for? Is this going to be a focus on anything particular to do with Amrit Kaal, since Pralhad Joshi has spoken about Amrit Kaal? Prime Minister has spoken about the fact that everybody has to come together. There is also a buzz that the government wants to essentially look at the possibilities of one country, one election. They had tried to set up that as a meeting a couple of years ago, but that did not go anywhere. What is it that you're really looking at? As far as the speculation publicly largely are concerned, is that probably the government is looking at bringing the Uniform Civil Code. Now, remember, the Uniform Civil Code has not taken shape so far. The bill has not taken shape so far. The Law Commission has received a lot of recommendation that is being put into, and our sources have already told us that it is pretty unlikely that the UCC will come, will come anytime soon as well. But with this government, with what I've seen in person as well, with the abrogation of Article 370 being brought in without anybody's notice, you never know what this government will really come up with. So, it's best not to speculate at this point in time.
Okay.
But we'll have to wait for some confirmation coming in from government sources.
All right, Payal, we'll be looking to you for more information. A special session of the Parliament taking place from the 18th to the 22nd. Let's head into a short break. More news in just a few minutes.